This is the American Arson Podcast, where our goal is to spark creativity. Whether you're a musician, an artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur, we're here to provide you with tools, tips, and insight from professionals and creatives that you can use to inform and inspire your own journey. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the American Arson Podcast. Today we have David Baqi from the band Takers Leavers out of California on with us.
Yeah, we got a chance to know David when we played some shows with them out west a couple years back, and have since become really good friends. We talk about how they've been able to stand out in a scene like Los Angeles, where it seems like everyone is a creative or artist of some kind, as well as some of the awesome experiences he's been able to have from being out there and getting to work alongside some people that he looked up to in the industry as he was growing up as well.
Yeah, and as we always do when we talk to musicians, we hear a fun tour story from them, and we get into a good debate about the best gas station snack foods.
Involve Taco Bell mishaps.
So definitely stick around for that. But without further ado, here's David. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. It's been a little while. Actually, the last time we saw you was the last show we played before COVID shut us all down.
Man, and tell me, how was that? Because I was standing front and center and I helped you out with the pedal board.
You got a front and center seat to the biggest disaster of our lives.
Somehow managed to be like a part tech in that whole experience, dude.
And we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. That was
we
awesome.
need to start paying you to come along with us.
or we just tour together. That would make it easy.
Honestly, I'm down for the latter. Let's give the audience a quick little summary of what happened. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, get it from your point of view because that would be interesting.
Yeah, we told it from our point of view already. So why don't we did? I think on like the first episode we talked about that. So why don't you give us your point of view of what happened?
Perfect. So the night was young. It was beautiful. There was so many bodies in Chain Reaction, California, which is a legendary venue. However, anybody who's from Southern California knows that Chain Reaction is a very tricky venue to get power to go into your pedal boards and your amps. It's a really tight stage. So I'm there. I'm excited because my girlfriend Amber, you guys hit up to do some work for you, which I was really excited for her to like meet you guys. Mm-hmm. And so set begins, dude, and when I say it's strong and it's giving me chills is an understatement, dude. Like you're coming out of the gates with your voice.
The sound there is pretty awesome. Dude, it sounds great in that room.
The crew at Chain Reaction, as small and as strange as that building is, they have it dialed in. Like they just know how to make it sound. Some shows better than others, but it takes two to tango. But you guys sounded great, dude. It was big in the
for a few seconds.
Yeah. So it was building and dude, as an audience member watching this, very excited to see what happens next. And the fact that I knew what happened before a lot of other people knew what happened.
Right.
I mean, I just look at your pedal board in awe because that thing, how many power supplies do you have on that thing?
Well, so I took this COVID time to kind of redo it. And so I'm just, I had four. I had four at the time.
Pretend we're back in March.
Yeah, but I cleaned it all up now. Now I just have two Voodoo Lab Mondos down there.
That's what I have. I just have one, thankfully, just one. But still, dude, like the fact that the power cut out and you guys kept your composure as performers and as people and started again. And the most beautiful thing, I think, to me was the crowd. The fact that they were cheering you on, hyping you up. I saw you guys had some friends in the crowd too, or just fans, people you didn't even know who knew every word, dude, was very chilling to watch. And as somebody who's experienced technical difficulties, the fact that you guys pushed through that set with power and grace was, man, it was very humbling to be witness to and also know that, like, those are my friends. My friends were able to pull through something like that. So it's like,
well, I have to say thank you because you were extremely encouraging afterwards, because that was our very first Face Down Fest. And obviously we've talked about this before on the podcast, but we're very honored to be on Face Down. We love
it. Was only our second show in California.
Ever,
the other
right?
one was with you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, full show. We played an acoustic show the night before we played that show with you guys, but we like a house. We did like a little acoustic set, but it was only our second like full show other than that one a couple years ago with you guys at what is that place called?
CIA. I was talking about this the other day. CIA.
Dude, the whole
tour.
Wild.
What an experience.
Yeah. To say the least, man, with the shrunken heads and everything, I was like, You guys had Ty on here earlier too, right?
We did,
yeah. That was cool. That was cool.
We got to talk to Ty, and first of all, so thank you so much for being encouraging and helping us do that, and for jumping on the stage and playing electrician for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for you, someone who was gracious enough to do that, and someone who we knew that was there and knew us and was willing to get up there and do that, but also knew the venue and kind of knew what was going on, we would have been really screwed.
I think what I do, because whenever I attend shows that my friends are playing and I'm not playing, you still have this like push or pull to the stage and tech and all of that. Like you no matter what, you're there, you're kind of the backup. So when something like that goes wrong, instinctually I wanted to hop up on stage because you guys are my friends. But what made me even more comfortable to do it was like 3 weeks prior, I played that venue and I was having a problem with my power too. So I'm like, I know this dance, I know this drill. Let me hop on stage, try that one, try this one. Let's unplug that. Let's do that. But
we appreciate that, man.
Always,
so why don't you
saved our butts.
Why don't you tell everybody who doesn't know who you are and who you play with and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So my name is David. I am the singer and a guitar player in a band called Takers Leavers. We've been around, we've been doing the thing for a few years now, but I would say within the past year and a half, we've found our solid lineup, our family, and our crew, and our it's getting bigger, but we've got music all over social media, Spotify, iTunes. You can look it up. Honestly,
what are your tags?
So Instagram and Twitter is just at Takers Leavers, not Takers and Leavers or Takers or Leavers. It's a very common mistake, and it happens so frequently. Like we just played, one of our last shows that we played in February, we pulled up to this venue in I think it was Tucson, Arizona, and on the billboard it said Takers and Leavers, and half of me was just like, yeah, that sounds about right,
Yeah.
But at Takers Leavers, Facebook /Takers Leavers, it's all pretty simple because I got in there real early. And saved all, signed up for everything. So.
And if you're looking for an introduction to Takers Leavers, or you have not heard Takers Leavers, I personally would direct you toward the most recent music video that you guys put out, which is incredible.
So
Thank you.
So rad.
The vibe I can only describe as sort of like Mad Max meets the cave scene from Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
What's
yes.
Can you give us a little bit of insight into what's going on in that video? Because I watched it and I think I maybe am more confused afterwards than I was beforehand. I was loving it, but I was like, I love this, but I don't know where it's going. I don't get it.
It actually started out the 3 songs that the band and I recorded, we all kind of packaged them together and realized, hey, these songs all kind of speak a story together. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have any concept story, nothing behind it. They were just 3 really cool songs, which the lyrics kind of tied in, but nothing grand. So I was sitting there one day and we were discussing music videos, and I looked at Amber and I'm like, hey, we should do something really cinematic. And Amber has done most of our video work and would swear by it. Yeah, she's sitting here, but even if she wasn't, I would still say the same exact
She's awesome.
thing.
Yeah,
she's definitely awesome. She wants to say hi to you guys after all this is done.
If anybody watches the video, they'll get that right away.
Tell her we gotta have her on too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get on here too, they said. So yeah,
we gotta do an episode with her.
Yeah, definitely. She's down. She's super down.
Awesome.
But so the whole concept and the story of that video was kind of it stemmed off of one experience that I had about, I think it was last summer or late spring, early summer. Me and some friends, we decided to go to the beach. One of the friends was Amber, and then our drummer Rob, our friend Darnell, who sings in a band called Farewell, amazing band, and then Karam, our bass player.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
You might have.
I think they came across my spot. I'm pretty sure they came across my Spotify.
You probably have.
Discover.
Because I think for a minute, under Takers Leavers is fans of, or like you may also like, you guys were there, and right next to you guys was Farewell. So I wouldn't be surprised if that like wove in. But we all went to the beach, and we all kind of got a little tipsy and did our own thing. And then I ended up, apparently, I guess, I don't know if I got really lightheaded. We were hanging out on some rocks. I ended up almost passing out. I guess I came to with 4 of my friends carrying me. And they were like, dude, we freaked out. We went from happy, joyful, chilling and looking at the beach to instantly like, we need to take care of this person. It was a really strange, beautiful bonding, scary bonding moment that we all had. And we kind of sat in silence and in peace for about 20 minutes afterwards. And I think that moment kind of inspired something in my head to kind of dig deep and figure out why did I do that? From experiencing something like that, it's frightening because I came to totally fine. I'm like, why are you guys carrying me? Put me down. And they're like, dude, you have no idea. From our perspective, we saw you shaking, convulsing, and it kind of gave me chills. So I dove in and I started writing the story of somebody who has been fleeing from his demons for years. And it's not a strange concept to any of us, but it's something that I've kind of been battling for a lot longer than I would like to admit. And so it's kind of like a self-reflection. So I started talking to my friend Ian, who actually plays the protagonist, the dude who's great at cardio and is running the whole time.
Yeah.
He basically, him and I kind of discussed it. We're like, yo, we should write these music videos into kind of like a cinematic story. And Amber and I, in the early stages of it, had been going back and forth talking about cool shots and things like that. And she loves to travel, and, shooting a band performance shot is one thing. But I think I personally kind of wanted to move away and do something more cinematic. So we got together and we tried to piece the story together, albeit we are very young story writers. So we're still trying to figure out how to tell a story visually with a song that was pre-written there.
Right.
But a short synopsis, it starts out, there's a pre-story, that little pre-minute long intro where it's the protagonist walking on the beach. He's being introspective. He's reflecting on everything. And being on the beach is very important because there's a divide. The sand symbolizes something that he's comfortable with, solid ground, things that he knows. And the beach symbolizes obscurity, something that he can't really physically grasp, and the magnitude and the majesty of the ocean is wonderful, but it can be intimidating. And as you pull back, you see this spirit, or as we've tagged him, a shinigami, which in Japanese is a spirit or a demon that leads people to their death. And so it kind of gave us like this cool, chilling concept, and we decided, what if the story started with the protagonist basically waking up in a barren, weird desert that kind of feels like limbo, another planet almost. And he's being chased by these 4 unknown beings. Super like zombie-esque, Mad Maxy in a way.
Yeah.
So he's being chased by these people and he has no idea why. However, when they catch up to them, they don't physically start beating him or harming him. They're just pulling him. They're pulling him away from something. And as he's running away, he sees that shinigami beckoning him. So these people are chasing him, and that thing's not in beckoning him. So the first thing he thinks is, I'm going to run away from these people. I'm going to run towards that thing. What does that thing symbolize? It ends up symbolizing these, without giving too much away, it symbolizes these demons and these things that we justify for ourselves. We think because it's not hurting us and it's beckoning us that we should walk towards it. We should open up. And the next video, I hope, will clarify a little bit more about who those 5 people.
Don't give away more than you want to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a basic story of coming to realize what it is that's truly bringing you down. Is it something that on the surface seems scary, or is it something that's a little bit deeper that's actually pulling you down? So there's a lot I can dive into, but
it's cool to leave some of
you
that
can tell us
there.
more about it after, and then you guys watching, you all have to go follow Taker's Levers and then wait for the next video to drop to find out what happens.
You gotta do it, dude. That's the only way.
I think this is, leaving some of that element of mystery is, this is why you see, aside from the commercial reasons, but this is why you see a lot of narratives that are told in like trilogies, whether it's a movie or whether it's a book series or something like that, because there's that air of mystery that you can keep going longer and even have sort of what isn't
spin-offs and
or an artificial conclusion. Like the video ends, right? But we see right on the title screen, and even if you were like to look up the song on Spotify, right, the subtitle is Act 1.
Act 1.
And so everybody knows like there's more coming for this.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I have to ask, just from a practical side, has any of that storytelling experience been affected now due to COVID, or since it's a visual narrative that's being shot, is that something that you guys are still able to go ahead with, or how's that been unfolding?
There's actually like a sweet limbo that we're in right now. It has been affected only because we wanted to use many like state parks and things like that.
Okay.
The tricky thing with state parks is a lot of them don't allow for drone shots. Reason being, and a lot of people didn't know this. I didn't know this until we did this, but the reason being is when you start flying a drone in places where there's wildlife who have never seen a drone before, it could really screw up the ecosystem there. It could really mess up a lot of things, how they grasp their environment. Like, wait, what is that type
is that a
thing?
Predator?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it could really mess up a lot of how the wildlife actually basically lives in those areas. And it's kind of like taking a rock from a public park or something like that. It's just very heavily frowned upon, but this is more so there's laws against it.
Right.
I mean, you can be fined up to like several $100s up to a few thousand. So we've had to be very particular with the locations that we've gotten to, but I think the hardest thing about it isn't finding locations and things like that. It's the actual storytelling. You know what I mean? It's us going, oh crap. So how do we do this now? Okay. Well,
how does this come across on camera? Like I think when I think up like, or try and think up ideas for, more cinematic style music videos that we could do, that seems to be the hardest part. Like I get these grand, like, oh, this would be sweet, and then I think, well, actually that's probably not that logical.
All we need is a helicopter and Pierce Brosnan and like several machine guns, and like we could do something awesome.
Dude, on that note though, I am so blessed to be working with one of the sickest crews. Like there are times where like I think of something and I'm like, I don't know if that's possible, and I'll tell Amber and we figure it out. Yeah. And that's the coolest thing. Ian, the protagonist, is he's not just an aspiring actor. He's like nailing these parts and he's doing really well. He's actually pushing me, asking me, what am I feeling here? What is this emotion?
Right.
Am I angry? Can we do this here? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Help, like that. It helps.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I think the hardest thing isn't COVID, because again, we're going out to these big wide open places and parks and things like that, random abandoned places where nobody's really going to, give us any trouble.
Right.
But it's the writing of it, which I've realized I'm starting to get not overwhelmed, but I'm learning to respect the craft of writing a cinematic section or a plot section of not just a music video, a simple story, dude. Like,
yeah, for sure. Along those lines, and I don't want to give too much away for anybody that hasn't seen the video, but there's a shot that sort of ends the video of what looks like some sort of hole in the ground or a cave being closed up by a rock.
Yeah.
So I got to ask about shooting that scene, but then just sort of from a creative perspective, because that's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Is that something where you saw the location and you were like, wow, this would be super cool if this guy's trying to escape from this hole right at the end? Or did you write that and then you're like, okay, cool, now we have to go find a cave? Like, how did that work?
So we wrote in a cave, but to be honest, I wrote in the word grotto.
Okay.
Just as kind of like a big open area, but something that had rocks and rusty, dark vibes to it. And so as we wrote it, I realized I didn't know where any caves were. So I started asking around. I'm like, I asked some coworkers, and one of my friends told me, if you've ever heard of the Mojave Desert, there's a place called the Lava Tubes in the Mojave Desert. And it's these really sweet, for lack of a better word, caves that kind of have holes and little random spots that peek out. And when you catch the sun just right, dude, it's such a breathtaking like visual that you'll see like this. I'll send you guys pictures and maybe you can slap them up.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they're really, it's a very beautiful cinematic location. So when we went in there, the initial idea was to have him running, and as he's running towards the entrance of a cave, you see a big boulder obviously close off.
Right, yeah.
I don't have a big boulder. I'm not strong enough to close. Not even 10 of us are strong enough to push it
right
yet. But what ended up happening is we looked up and we're like, hey, okay, when you're hiking down into the location, you can see on the ground as you're walking, there's a hole in the ground, and you look down and it literally goes down into the bottom of that cave that you'll end up descending into.
Okay.
So what we did was we kind of on spot changed it. We looked at it, we're like, well, what if we did this? We took one of Amber's reflectors and we started to have our friend Jordan, who was assisting us, basically like move it in front of the hole as he was up top and we were down there, and had Ian kind of climb up and just pretend like he was like, no, like, please don't close. That was the only exit out.
Right.
And as he tries to escape, it's shut off. And we were instantly, when Amber got the shot, she was like, yeah, that's the one. This looks so cool.
Yeah, and it really does.
Dang,
yeah, it was beautiful, and it was definitely a spur of the moment thing.
It's a great conclusion to the video, but also it's a conclusion, like I said, that's sort of a false conclusion, and it leaves the viewer and listener, I guess, simultaneously, wanting more, because obviously the story can't be over, because this he's not just he didn't just die. I mean, immediately there's something that's going to happen now. So that's really cool. Is that a place that anybody can just go and hike in, or did you have to? Is that
i.e. are you going to take us there?
Right. I'm asking selfishly now. Like I want to go to the lava tubes.
I A, would love for you guys to come visit. B, yes, because I think you would not only be in awe of the lava tubes, but the Mojave Desert in general is such a beautiful place to go to. We went to in that video as well. If you see him running across these like plains, fields of sand, that's also in the Mojave Desert. It looks like you're in like the Sahara Desert.
It really did. Yeah.
It's crazy. And it was just maybe like a 2-3 hour drive from LA. Awesome. So you can go. The downside is to get to the tubes, you need a car that can go off-roading to a certain extent.
Okay.
So
I have a Jeep.
Yeah,
perfect.
Now we have an excuse to bring the Jeep.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Bring it down.
No, that's it. There we go. Now that's, man, now that you say that, like the fact, I think every time I am on the western half of the country, like specifically out closer to the West Coast, like it blows my mind. Like I feel like obviously there's all the I guess more famous or more notable spots.
Yeah.
There's the Yosemites, there's the Grand Canyon, there's all that stuff out west. But I feel like I hear about or find or see something new like every time I'm out there, that I'm just like, I feel like I'm on a whole another planet.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You're
For
like
real.
you don't, like every hour or two you drive, there's something else. You're in a desert, you're in the mountains, you're in the canyons, you're on the beach, you're on the side of a cliff. Like it's such a cool aspect of it, but I feel like it would be super inspiring as an artist too. Probably makes sense why a lot of artists end up moving or gravitating out west
towards California. The crazy thing is when people would say, why do you like California so much? I used to early on say, it's because there's LA's there and San Diego's there, and I do music, and that's like the place you want to be. And it stopped being that way. It started moving into the fact of like, when we go on tour and I'm in like Texas, I feel landlocked. I'm already used to the beach to where I'm like, I need to feel that breeze. I don't know where it is. But aside from that, the scenery is gorgeous, man. Like Northern California is one of the most green spots in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to places like the Mojave Desert, and as intimidating as it can be, it's still so beautiful, dude. It's very inspiring, dude. Like Jesse, you said it best. It's so inspiring for artists.
I think, the physical natural beauty is incredible. But that there's also this aspect of being located in an area where everybody's doing something creative. Everybody has a project that they're working on, whether it's a band or whether it's, something with film or you name it.
Yeah.
What is that like, being in just this this chaos, this tidal wave of everybody doing something creative and trying to get the attention of the people around you?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, even along those lines, like, how do you stand out as a musician or as an actor or creative in general, just in that market? Like, is it as tough as it may seem from the outside, or is that not really something that comes across your mind very much?
I really like this question a lot because I think about this a lot, and I dive into the whole notion of, oh, you live in California, that's where all like everything's happening. It is definitely very tricky because you can easily get caught in what's called the like that California mind state of, pardon my French, but like, I'm the shit. We live here. We're the band. We have 30 people, 40 people coming to our shows, this, that. And I'm not going to specifically give any names because I can't recall them off the top of my head because I don't really allow them to live here much. But I think I learn a lot from touring bands and bands that don't live here and have that whole foundation of putting yourself out on the road, humbling yourself, experiencing different artists and going, hey, look, I don't have to be, for lack of a better phrase, a California jerk in order to thrive at my art. Music's not going anywhere, man. Yeah. We can both have our fan bases put together, and that's just more music for them to listen to.
Yeah.
There is no competition in this. We can have 100,000 post-hardcore bands or 100,000 metal bands, and that's just better for everybody. Now, the tricky thing is, yes, that whole competition of like, you have this band who doesn't want to help that band because they want to be the one band to make it. And I think that's so poisonous, dude. We're really good friends with a handful of bands that share a like-minded friendliness and desire to kind of stray away from the crabs in a bucket mentality and basically give each other a helping hand. And it's very tricky, man. It's very hard, especially out in a scene like this where you want to be as friendly as possible. You show up early and you stay late and you listen to everybody's set and buy shirts, support. Not everybody does that, and that's okay. But I think it says a lot about the bands who do make it. It's patience, perseverance, and how you conduct yourself. So out here, there's a lot of people with that pseudo mentality of, hey, I'm a rock star. I'm going to get famous. But it doesn't work that way. It's the internet, man. Anybody can be a rock star and famous. So the question that you asked, like, how do you stand out? You go a little extra further with your music videos. You think about something a little bit more creative. You take little risks, but you don't dog anybody else down. Your music, you take an extra 2 or 3 days to perfect it. You invest a little bit in somebody you trust to make it sound good, and you humble yourself. You take away the idea of, my shit doesn't stink. Let me trust somebody else to give me a perspective and not get hurt when they give me that perspective. And, as musicians, I'm sure you guys can attest to this. When somebody critiques your music, whether it be positive or negative, you're still going to be like, carry on, continue, type thing, like it always hurts, but it's the ability to.
Then you hear it back on the flip side and you're like, oh shoot, that makes so much sense. So
I think what me and the rest of the family does is we try to pull ourselves away from the California mentality. And I hate using that word because California is a beautiful place and the people here are amazing. They can be. But
as with anywhere.
Yeah. But I truly believe it's a matter of not worrying really about the people around you. And it's worked out for us because we have great friends, we have great fans, we have a bunch of positivity and people that are excited to see what's next. So it's hard because we want to be friends with everybody, right? But you can't win them all. And so we've stopped trying to be that band that tries really hard and the group of artists that tries really hard. And we just genuinely allow ourselves to be comfortable with each other. And that kind of just attracts a good group of people. So anytime when you guys come down and we put on a show, dude, you guys will be playing with some of the most down-to-earth people, some of the greatest musicians out here. And I'm very honored to be a part of it. I understand where that question comes from. It's a loaded question. So
as long as we're playing and eating in and out with you,
yes,
we don't care.
1,000 times over.
I love the point there about being humble, because realistically, for any mountain that we've climbed and for any barrier that, you know, we've broken, there's somebody out there that's doing something, you know, so much further beyond it. You know, I mean, we think we had a lot of plays on our last video, but the reality is that there's a 14-year-old kid talking about the latest set of Pokemon cards, and he's getting, you know, 1.8 million views every day or something like that. And so, you know, I think that's something that's such a good lesson. I think that that we could sit here and say, oh yeah, every young band should do this, and that would be correct. However, it's also a good lesson for us to continuously remind ourselves every time we taste a little bit of success, or I mean, I'm sure you get done making a video like the one you guys made, and you look at that and you think, this is it, right? This is did like I'm probably never gonna do something cooler than this, and then, you know, but that you have to step back and recognize that you know, there are people out there that are gonna love it. There are people out there who are gonna hate it, and then there's the third crowd that I think is the most frustrating one, that they're not even going to bat an eyelash, and they're just going to move right along, and and you know, they're gonna watch, you know, they're gonna watch that episode of The Office for like the 7th time or something like that, instead of giving your video 3.5 minutes or something like that.
Dude, so understanding that, like, that's a great way to break it up. Those 3 types of people. You know, obviously somebody's going to love it, somebody's going to hate it, and there's the in between. And I realized
just kind of the lukewarm, just like
whatever, like skip video, you know, the meh factor.
Yeah.
Those, I realized there was a point where I feel like I exhibited that. I exhibited the I'm not even going to give this a chance, skip, and I would end up rediscovering something that I skipped and being blown away by it. And so I stopped being that type of person. I remember embracing some of those, like, I don't really care for it right now, skips.
I can't tell you how many songs and like artists I found on Spotify does their like Discover Weekly playlist for everybody on Mondays. And so like sometimes I would go there and I would just hit shuffle if I had like a lot of driving to do that day, just kind of didn't know what to listen to. And I would just hit shuffle. And lots of times earlier on, I would just like, I would hear the first like few seconds of an intro, and if it was like, I would just kind of
skip
next
it,
one,
right?
Next, and then I started forcing myself to just like hit play on that Discover playlist and just let it run. And there was so many like bands that I found that I ended up loving that, like, if I had just judged, like I had heard the first, you know, few seconds or the intro or whatever, just kind of like, all right, move on, like. But then as I listened through the song, as I would go and check out their discography and like some of the other things and listen to a music, like a song, or see a music video and watch it in context, I would start to think, oh,
it connects a little bit more.
I dig this, like the greater picture. Maybe one song wasn't my favorite, but I found some things I liked about it and connected to with it. So then I would go listen to another one of their songs, and that one was just the banger. And I was like, oh, this is sick. Like you said, like, yeah, I think just being patient and like trying to, it's tricky because there is that the attention span with everybody is so short, and that middle of the road crowd that's just going to be scrolling past, like trying to get them to stick around for long enough.
The secret is how to get them, dude. Like, that's like, how do you get that person to say, oh, you know what, I will give this a chance? Because the people who love your music are going to love your music, but the people who don't like your music are either going to continue to dislike it, or you'll do something that'll change their mind. But that's a tiny group. The in between is the mystery. Dude, it's crazy. And that's why to me, as I started observing how a lot of bands and creative groups were releasing their music, I'm never going to down talk any type of performance video. I think they're cool and they can be done very well. But my philosophy behind just seeing a band play live or play their instruments in a video, and the entirety of the video is, I guess I would like to come see you play it live. I want to see how your art speaks to you. And it's cool that if it's performance, that's great. I think it looks dope. But I think that's why I wanted to start doing something different visually and doing mostly a cinematic thing, you know, really challenging Amber to push herself to do some really cool stuff, see what she can do. And so, that I feel like doing some weird stuff like that is an idea or an attempt to tap into that third group, the Meg
we
group.
call it weird, but in reality it's just incredible. It turns out.
Thank you, man.
You guys haven't done one video that I haven't liked. So
well, I wonder too I think there's a big element of what you said. Well, two things I want to get to. The first, what you said there about the performance video aspect, that if you're just sitting there, you're just playing the song, I'd like to go see you live. And Jesse and I actually talked about that when we were getting ready to do the Unbreakable video. Like, what is it? Well,
which is going to be a sick video, dude.
2 dudes sitting in their rehearsal space just playing the song. And at first we thought, well, it's kind of vanilla, but hey, at least there's something visual going along with the song. There's not a whole lot we can do right now because it's COVID times.
At that time, it was the first few weeks of COVID.
Yep, totally. Which was a scary time, dude. That was a frightening time.
But so I wonder, and I hadn't thought about this until you said that. I wonder if that video would have done even half as well, to even 10% of what it's done, which it blew up beyond what we could have ever imagined.
Dude, you guys nailed it. I loved it. I know, I was just I don't prefer doing it, but I still this is passion and emotion.
And I appreciate that, but I still wonder if we weren't in this era where you really do not have the option to go and see a band play live right now, if it would have gotten that kind of traction. And I think maybe that people looked at it and said and just was like, man, I miss this. I miss this feeling of just looking at, was just seeing a couple people play, because we can't really get that.
Then
right
there's
now.
The people asking if our drums are really mic'd, and
I think some people don't really understand how a music video works, but
how do those drums sound so good with just one mic?
Did they think it was a stream, like a live stream?
Right, I know. Seriously, I wish that's what we sounded like on live stream. But the other thing that I wanted to point out was what Jesse said about skipping over something quickly right at the beginning. And I think that as musicians, do we want to live in a world where we are judged on the first 5 to 10 to 15 seconds of our song? Because it's not just about, we talk about, society as a whole having shorter attention spans, but if we as musicians can't even make it through 5, 10, 15 seconds of a song, then that really is going to speak to what kind of songs are we going to start writing? I mean, does every song have to go straight into the hook? Does every song have, you know what I mean? That's really
obviously.
Well, I remember going
every
to
song.
Right. I remember with a previous band going to a music conference, and they had part of what they had going on at the conference was a panel of, music industry experts or whatever it happened to be. And you could drop your CD in this little box, and then it would go into this rotation, and they would listen to the song. At least this is what we were told. They were going to listen to the song, and then they were going to critique it. Like, okay, this is awesome. We probably need to get knocked down a notch anyway, so let's listen.
Yeah, humbled.
And then as soon as the panel started, we realized something that we hadn't heard before, which is that they were only going to listen to the first 30 seconds of the song. And the song that we put in had an intro and then a verse, and so it never made it to the chorus. And one of the things that the judges said was, well, if you hadn't gotten to your chorus in the first 30 seconds, anyways, then it's not something I'm willing to listen to anyways. I don't really care about it. And I started to think about when he said that, every time I listen to a song now, and this could be, if my favorite song in the world, did the chorus come up in the first 30 seconds? No. But this is like my favorite song in the world. And
that's so tricky.
What if that was my criteria? You'd have to cross off probably my 400 of my top 500 favorite songs if the chorus had to appear in the first 30 seconds.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
what this music conference, who were these people judging it, and was there any like notoriety or
this was
names?
probably 8-9 years ago. This was a different band at the time, so I couldn't even tell you. I just remember being so bummed when I found out it was going to be 30
that the one
seconds.
in PA?
That sucks, dude.
Not the one that we played together. It was a different one. It was also in PA,
one.
But different one. So and it was, I mean, it was a bigger festival. They had bigger headliners. It was a very large venue.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure the people,
was it like those slightly past it, like big rock artists?
You know what? Honestly,
today
or something like that.
I'm old at this point. I mean, it could have been like cardboard cutout of Homer Simpson, and I wouldn't be able to tell you now. It's like 7 years ago. Might as well have been 3 centuries ago. At this point,
we got Scott Stapp here to judge your
dude.
Judge your music.
I would definitely put.
Hey, high key, Mark Tremonti is a fantastic guitar player.
He is
I
a
know
very
people
good
want to say
player.
Creed is whatever, but dude, you can't talk crap on Mark Tremonti's finger plucking skills.
Oh yeah, you listen to his Tremonti stuff, and it's just him just shredding.
What's that other band that he plays in? It's not Creed.
Alter
Bridge, yeah. Kills it, dude. But I would like to go back to that, because that is a fear and not a fear, but it's something that I think about frequently when I write music. And I don't ever want to, obviously, as a writer, as a storyteller, we never want to bore anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put down a book that I wasn't immediately immersed in by the first 2 or 3 pages, I wouldn't have discovered some of my favorite books. Same thing with movies. And so I think that's very important of you to say, Jesse, especially right now to me, because there are times where I notice if a song doesn't catch me within a few seconds, I tend to fast forward a little bit and then skip. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to put that off. I want to take my attention span and pull it back. But the unfortunate situation you got thrown into, Evan, was actually something I kind of sat through in a composition class that I took in college once.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was really weird, dude. There was 20 of like some of the coolest musicians I'd ever met, but they're just definitely local dudes. However, when you're new to a school and you don't know anybody, these 20 musicians all seem, and they're all friends with each other. You definitely, the intimidation factors.
Yeah.
Dude, it was freaky, man. So we had 2 major songwriting projects that we had to do. The first one was at the beginning of the course, and the last one was at the end of the course to kind of show your growth.
Yeah.
First one, I basically wrote the song. I thought it was cool. And at the end of it, they critiqued the song. Everybody in the class critiques the song, not just the teacher, the students and everything. And dude, have you ever seen a potato go through a slicer and you just end up making hash browns? That's how my spirit felt like that potato. And those kids just diced me up, dude. And the feeling, like you said it, I was brought down a few notches. There was no choice but to kind of sit there.
You went from steak fries to hash browns, just
dude,
like that.
Insta hash browns, bro. I was sitting there just toasted. I was sweating. I kind of slumped down in the seat. I thought I was like the stuff, dude. I thought what I brought to the table was cool.
I could use some hash browns right now.
I just had some. Dude, breakfast is good any time of day.
Yeah, absolutely. We agree on
100%.
that. That's tough, man.
Yeah, man. But mind you, by the end of the class, not only was everybody blown away by the song that I wrote, I got the highest grade in the class, which is such
awesome.
a crazy thing. But it required me every day after that first day. I asked questions. I was patient. I listened to the entirety of their songs. I analyzed everything that I could, and I didn't put anybody else before anybody else. I kind of said, look, the way you speak and will eloquently explain to me, something is different than the way this person will. And you guys could be explaining the same exact thing, but it could be in your own unique ways. He might do it a little bit easier for me to digest, and he might do it a little bit easier for you to digest. But I have to be patient enough to listen to both perspectives. And so that kind of carried me through for a little bit. But again, as we all talked about it, and as the scene changed and as singles became more of a thing, my attention span started to deteriorate or atrophy. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's actually going to push me to re-listen to the entirety of a song and be patient with certain things.
Well, and I hope anybody who's listening to this would apply that to your latest single as well, because as it comes on, it's fast and furious. And if you're somebody who's like, I don't love hardcore, you might be, it's good hardcore, but if you don't love hardcore, you might be tempted to skip it, and then you would miss out on the sweetest, most beautiful 6/8 time signature chorus that anybody could ever deliver. So don't do that. Even if you're not a fan of hardcore, stick with it, and there's a little bit of sweet to go with that salty for sure.
Always, man. There always has to be a little bit of sweet to go with that salty. I use food metaphors. A lot of my friends are they know me as the food metaphor guy, and the reason why I use it is because most people can relate to it.
I see the banana on the wall behind you.
Do you like, dude? It's a light. I had Amber turn it on.
Is it really?
It's too bright though.
Oh
yeah, I was You could, dude. I wish I could give you guys a spin. You're on my computer, but she went crazy with this room and got all these tapestries. They're on the ceiling. This little section right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a little shiny thing right here.
It's just out of the view.
Not really, just barely. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Yeah,
there we go.
It's a bunch of little mirrors that she stacked up. You can see
cool.
them right here, dude. This whole room is like vibed out. It's awesome.
It's a cool creative space.
I like it. I dig it.
But the food analogies I use a lot because most people can relate to it. Like I'll always explain a song as like a cake. You know, like you don't want to put too much frosting on it. You want to understand that the baking process is very important. You can't just pile the ingredients on it, which is mixing, and then you have to master it by putting it in the oven and gluing everything together.
Wow.
So I do this all the time with almost everything. So if I do that a few times,
no, please keep going because it's going to encourage me to eat after this. I've been trying to find the excuse.
Oh man, eating. I miss trying different places on tour, man. Like,
well, we were gonna ask you about that because I think every time that we've had a musician on lately, and we're all lamenting the loss of being able to be out on the road and be in different places. So one of the things that we've done to kind of warm everybody's hearts and remind everybody of the road is ask if they have a fun or crazy or self-deprecating tour story that they'd be willing to share with us.
Or a couple. If you can't think of just one. I know it's tough. Or like it doesn't have to be like of the embarrassing variety, even if it was just wild. Like
those aren't bad though. Last guy we had launched himself headlong into a tire, so
Oh yeah, no, mine's not that bad. It's actually kind of silly, and if you've been behind the wheel of the van and trailer, you'll kind of understand the struggle and like how dumb you would feel after. But it's like 2:00 in the morning. I can't remember where we were leaving from and going to, but I just remember 2 words: Taco Bell. I was so excited for this, dude. And we just had a few beers like previously. And, obviously like when you stop drinking and you sober up, you end up becoming this insatiable hunger that usually only things like Taco Bell and Del Taco can satisfy.
100%.
So I'm ready to go. I'm driving. I'm up for a good solid 3-hour drive. I
need that $5 box. Mm-hmm. You're just waiting for it.
Dude, I actually had evolved into I had a specific order. I would do 2 Gordita Crunches, a Chalupa, a Crunchwrap Supreme, and 2 Dorito Tacos Locos.
Okay. You were
dialed in.
You were there for it.
It was at a point where I'm like, you know what? We had a band budget a day for like food, and that day I hadn't touched anything, so I'm like, I'm going crazy. Yeah. And I'm driving too. So not thinking, I'm for some reason mentally in the mode of I'm in my 2001 Honda Civic. I can go anywhere. Most of everybody's passed out in the back. I think my buddy Darnell's sitting in the passenger seat, but I'm not thinking. I start driving directly into the drive-thru, not realizing there's like a 10-foot trailer hitched. It's this tiny little curve, dude.
Right.
It was a 3-hour ordeal.
No.
Yeah. We got lodged in. I lodged us in there, and then to try to back out a trailer from that was, man.
What did you guys? Did you have to call a company or?
No. What we ended up doing was we pulled out all the gear, I think, and like lightened up the trailer,
right,
backed it up and put the gear back in, and then they gave us a Taco Bell for free.
No way. They weren't mad at you. I always thought they would be mad at you because you just cost them 3 hours worth of revenue.
No, yeah, it was I didn't because we didn't break anything. We got we were scraping up the sides with the trailer, but we didn't damage anything, thankfully. Right. But the guy, the person, we got locked, stuck in there, and we thought we were gonna have to call AAA. Excuse me, didn't have to call AAA. Realized why don't we just take all the stuff out? Cool, unloaded it, backed up. They came out, handed us a bag, and they were like, "You guys are good."
Oh man, that's really cool.
Amazing that they did that.
Yeah, it was super cool. Other than
the realization of crap, we're stuck.
That's the worst feeling in the world.
I ordered all my food before I realized what I was doing.
You didn't even realize you were stuck.
No, dude. I'm like,
man, that's the worst feeling in the world. And for anybody who's not pulled a trailer, there will be moments where you'll just drop into normal driving mode. Most of us that drive on a normal day. I remember one time with one of my very first bands, so I was probably a teenager, just missing a turn. And this was a million years ago. I'm old, so we were doing MapQuest directions. So
classic.
Yeah, just realized I missed a turn, and it was winter. It was January, and just thinking, oh, no big deal. I'm just going to turn around in this church parking lot. So go into the parking lot, go to turn around. Notice that it's a pretty steep hill on this parking lot. Yeah, and it was iced up. Went to turn around, and just turning around like a normal car. Nope, just locked up, and we slid very, very slowly, not like anything dangerous, but very slowly into where the plow had piled up all the snow. And same kind of thing, had to pull the gear out, had to get everybody on the trailer, lift it up, turn it around.
Yeah,
it's a rear wheel drive van, so you're not, once you're on that ice, the wheels are just
game
spinning.
over. Yeah, you're spinning around.
Yeah, so yeah, it is. It's definitely, there's once you add a trailer to the mix, it's I think it's definitely interesting.
Touring is definitely giving me a newfound respect for truck drivers and drivers of any vehicle that's larger than a standard 15 passenger or a 15 passenger van and beyond. Yeah. If I see a semi truck driver signaling, instantly I slow down. I create a little bit of space so they can breathe in. And the amount of times
start feeling bad for. I feel your. It's like that brotherhood of
I'm I got you, dude. The amount of times that I've done that and pissed off the person behind me though. And had them zoom out from behind me and zoom right in front of me from where I'm trying to make space. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's experience, and then going back to that word, humbling yourself, going, hey, that guy's doing something he's probably been up for 18 hours.
Right.
Yeah. He's running on little sleep. He's trying to pay attention in a state that he probably whose driving rules he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
Give him some grace.
He's on his 7th Mountain Dew. Only had taquitos or something.
Hey, Mountain Dew is what kept me going when I was a kid. Dude.
No corn dogs left behind.
Yeah, roller grill corn dogs. Yeah, something like that.
That's our rule of the road. No corn dogs left behind.
What's your guys' when you guys go on tour? Everybody has their snack of choice. What would be yours?
Are we talking gas station or place we stop?
Usually gas station. That's what I like. If you had to stop at a gas station.
Mine. Oh shoot! Well, first it's usually a vitamin water.
Okay.
And that's my drink. Or if I'm driving, any kind of coffee, that I can inhale into my body.
Sure.
Yep. And then food, either just pretzels, just plain old, just the nugget ones, the pretzel bit, rods. Yeah.
Do you like them with the peanut butter in them?
Ooh, I love them with the peanut butter. If I can find them with the peanut butter in.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm if we're doing an overnight drive where it's 3 or 4 in the morning when I pull over to fill up, and they've just put out those little breakfast sandwiches.
Oh, like the egg and cheese ones,
sausage, egg, and cheese, and just those early in the morning. Oof.
Right before you, when you pull up as you're about to take your nap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Dude. I dig the little pastry, the Danishes. They usually have up by the counter.
Really crappy, without a doubt, every gas station has the same brand. It's that one, that's
I don't know what brand it is, but yep.
Do I?
The apple Danishes.
I'm all about those roller grill corn dogs. My brother, I don't even know how it started. A few years ago, he got into this like hashtag NCLB, no corn dog left behind. One of our other brothers
is that what that is? That's an actual
yeah, I don't know. One of my other brothers made him a T-shirt for Christmas or something. Like ordered it off one of those custom T-shirt sites, and no corn dog left behind.
Hashtag
yeah, hashtag NCLB. I guess corn dog's one word, so I don't know. You can
wait a second. Hold on.
I don't know. Consult the iPhone, but I've seen it. I've seen it in there as one or as two.
Maybe we're about to have to change the hashtag here.
No, NCDLB. I can't.
NCDLB.
Dude.
Is it showing up as 2 words?
Dude. Look at every single menu on here.
Oh man, I guess that makes sense because a corn dog is just corn and dogs.
In defense of the one word though, there's a box of corn dogs in the fridge and it's all one word.
There we go. See, so somebody out there understands. So this actually lets me off the hook, because if I ever walk into a gas station and I'm just totally not hungry or just feeling disgusting because we've been on tour eating garbage food, and I see it written in 2 words, I do not have to follow NCLB at that point, because technically those are not corn dogs. Those are corn dogs. Those are different.
It's the spirit of the rule.
No, I'm a letter of the law guy. I'm not a spirit of the law guy.
I respect that. That's called self-control. And if I had a hat, I would take it off too.
Before we wind down, I did have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little earlier about finding those people you trust and you kind of like hand off your music or your creation to. Mm-hmm. Has there been anyone, or is there anyone currently, I guess, to split it into kind of 2 parts, like that you've had the chance to work with that's kind of been like that mentor to you? Or has there been any moment like bands you shared the stage with or like had the chance to like talk to that is kind of one of those wow moments of like, this is someone who, you know, I looked up to in the music world that I have had the chance now to
work with,
kind of pick their brain with, or something like that? Has there been any of those moments, or do you have like any of those people specifically, I guess, that you're working with that have been that for you?
Absolutely. And I think you are going to really connect with this. I'm one of the world's biggest fans of a band that doesn't exist anymore, and they're called Let Live. And so I had the joy, joy is a very big understatement, to witness that band in multiple live settings and then end up befriending some of those members. Jason Butler is still amazing person. I'll shoot him some text congratulating him on occasion. He's a busy man. But Jeff, their guitar player, ended up becoming a really good friend to me and a mentor. And this is coming from somebody who would go see this band play and just be in awe at what they created. It was a movement, man. And I know you know this because the first thing I think you and I connected on was that piece.
Yeah,
that
you saw my tattoo.
I saw it right there, dude. And I knew a soul punk when I see one, dude. And like it's unmistakable. And I know you know that feeling of what they made you feel. So to be able to talk to Jeff and then eventually work with him, as he actually recorded and produced our first EP, Filthy Animals, that's on Spotify. Yeah. It was a really cool thing to have him help me metaphorically kill my idols, which to me is so important to do in an industry, in a scene where so many people get distracted and blindsided by idolism and looking at somebody. And I'm sure you've had some people tell you like, hey, your music has saved my life, or you've done this. And that, while that's a very beautiful thing, the most important thing to remember is that they saved their life. You just were the soundtrack there, and you just helped guide. They made the ultimate decision. And that's something that Jeff helped me. Jeff helped me. You can cut that out. Actually, no, don't cut that out. Jeff helped me realize that. He helped me realize
he'll hear this, and you can start calling him Jeff.
I'm changing my contact info for him right now, actually. No, he really helped me realize, hey, man, you don't have to, I guess, shove your nose up people's asses when you meet them to make them feel like you respect them. You just be. And when they see that, it's like any friend, like you build a friendship. And now I love that guy, dude. Like he reminds me of one of my older brothers. And that to me is a very comforting thing to say because
that's awesome.
I have so many Let Live shirts. I listen to that band frequently still. And it really, I miss them, dude. Soul Punks for life. Like I don't think there will be something that will make me feel like that again. There might be something that touches like on that concept and spins off, but man, dude, it's so
hard
rare
to describe to people like what their shows were like as just as an experience. I mean, just listening to them for me alone, but even especially like going to see them live, like I can't put it into words.
It was mind-boggling. So to be able to make that kind of like a, hey, what do you think of this type thing? He'll send me songs that he's working on now, and I'm like, I can hear the Let Live influence in there. It's really cool to get that. Awesome. But aside from that, like we had Andrew Wade mix and master this new Quiet Chaos, which Andrew Wade's a legend. He's done, Day to Remember. He's done so many really solid bands, which is Wage War 2, which is amazing to do. But I think the biggest thing for me is getting to work with somebody that I was friends with and I get to see flourish. His name's Adam Sisko, and he's recorded all of our stuff ever since. And I think to me that's the biggest thing because it humbles me. I get to look at my friends, not somebody I looked up to, but my friend do amazing work, and I'm just in awe of it. So I think that's the coolest thing for me.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah. I think it's so hard to that you have someone like that you looked up to in that sense that you're now comfortable enough to just be able to riff ideas off of and just kind of be like get their honest opinion, but also like you said, like talking about your friend. I think we talk about that every time it comes up about like where we want to record and who we want to record with, of like there's so much about finding someone that is going to give you that honest opinion, like you said, like they're going to tell you like when you need to change it to something different, but they're also gonna like you can trust when they say no, this sounds sick. But aside from that, just a space that you feel comfortable in,
it's the most important thing
created by that person in that relationship, where you said like because if you're in there and they may be the most talented producer of all time, but if you're not feeling the vibe, if it just feels off and your at least for me, creativity is going to go down the drain. I'm going to get super tense. I'm not
distracted.
I'm just going to want to get in and get out. And that's not the space to be in. So it's cool that you have a friend that you've been able to watch do that I'm sure you go in and how each other works. When he says something, like he means it, and like kind of his workflow too, what works best for him, what works best for you. And
we're able to basically communicate. He can give me the dose of medicine without having to sugarcoat it, and I know that he's coming from a good place.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, David, thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thank you, boys, for having me.
When should people keep their eyes peeled for the next installment in this series?
If you can't say a specific date.
I can't say a specific date, but I can tell you that we are about 70% done with filming, and Amber's turnover time is less than a week, especially because we live together and I can kind of sit with her, and if there anything that needs to be tied up. So I would say keep an eye out sometime October-ish.
Okay. Cool.
Sometime in October.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. We will be anxiously awaiting that for sure. If you have not seen the video yet, check it out. We will make sure that
we'll post a link below.
Yeah, perfect.
Put a link in the show notes, and we'll also put a link to your guys' music and your merch and all of that stuff so that people can support you.
Yeah. Go follow Takers Levers on all the socials, all the grams. Go follow.
There's multiple grams.
Oh yeah, there's golden grams.
There's all the grams.
There's
there's a cinnamon golden grams.
Oh yeah, there's I think that's it. There's golden grams and cinnamon.
there's the chocolate ones.
I want to answer my own question earlier. By the way, my favorite snack is trail mix when you pour more M&Ms into it.
How rude of us not to ask you. We just went on forever about our own snacks.
Okay, no, is that your favorite? Give us a drink and a snack. Go.
Drink. You already know. Gotta hydrate.
Yes, I even asked that question.
But snack, I'm like not even joking when I say I do this. I go to Costco, buy the big bag of trail mix, and then I buy another Costco bag of peanut M&Ms, and I'll dump the whole bag of peanut M&Ms in there, shake it up. The best snack you'll ever eat. Thank
so
me.
If you took anything away from the podcast today, it's that normal trail mix does not have enough peanut M&Ms in it.
Doesn't cut it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, dude. It was
absolutely,
a huge blessing.
David. Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep. Hopefully we're headed in the right direction and all this COVID stuff, and we'll be able to get back out there and see you soon. So.
I think we will, dude. I hope so too.
All right. Well, thanks again, man. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the American Arson Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a positive comment or review. Connect with us online through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, and check out AmericanArson.com for music, merch, and upcoming tour dates. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, stay inspired, stay positive, and keep creating.